Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us this morning. My trusty computer here, apparently the screen burned out. It's unfortunate, so I pulled together the traffic and weather before we jumped on, but one time around what we do here, we've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube are our social media channels. We also post these shows online at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. They are free there. We have audio and video versions for you to choose from. We also have long-form podcasts. Did one over the weekend for the Bicycle and Ped Master Plan for Denham Springs. Also did a podcast with the sports folks about football last week. Of course, we'll have one coming up. Big game to talk about today. We'll get to that in a minute. First, your weather. It's currently 55 degrees. Pretty chilly out there. High of 75. Going to have showers Wednesday and Thursday, and that may affect a event that we'll be talking about here later in the show, but keep an eye out for that. Traffic is currently backed up on 16 heading out of Watson, on North 447 at Arnold Road. Looking pretty clear right now on 64 heading into Central. Relatively clear as well on 190 4H Club Road and River Road where they come together in Denham Springs. Heavy delays on I-12 westbound heading up until about Sherwood Forest Boulevard, backed up past Pete's Highway. So please keep an eye out for that as you begin your morning commute. Perkins trials begin today. Miss Cynthia is first. Those are the two folks that were arrested last week on multiple counts of child pornography and rape. She was a teacher at Westside Junior High. He was a lieutenant at the sheriff's office, that'd be Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. They face a 313 trial today, which is based upon what's called Gwynn's Law. That is, if you are arrested for a domestic violence dispute, you will have an immediate bail, but if a judge signs a writ based on Gwynn's Law, you don't have bail anymore. You are denied bail until a hearing of this kind. What this hearing judges is whether or not you are of danger if you are re-released. What happened was in Lafayette several years ago, a woman and her daughter were being beaten by her husband. He was arrested and put in jail, got out on bond, and then promptly went back to the home and killed both the wife and the daughter and then himself. So they're trying to make sure that you are not a danger to yourself or others by letting you back out on bail. So they will have Miss Cynthia again this morning. Her trial begins at 9. I'm being told that it is private and closed. So we will not be there the whole time to report on it. We'll be waiting for the results. But they will be determining whether or not she will be given bail. Mr. Dennis will be Wednesday. So please keep an eye out for that. We'll be rolling along trying to find out whether or not either one of them will be provided any kind of bail before their regular trial. Unclaimed property notices were released last week. They were in the paper. They will be online shortly. We're waiting for the list to process in a Word format that we can copy and paste online. Once we get those up, we'll actually attach them to this show. What that is businesses every year are required to submit a list of unclaimed property, or really what it boils down to is unclaimed money by individuals that ends up with them for a certain amount of time before they remit it to the state because they want to get it off their books. A lot of times it's relatives, savings accounts, checking accounts that rolled over that you may never have known about, unclaimed life insurance policies. They had one lady who ended up claiming almost $2 million on a variety of different things. It turned out her dad had oil royalties that she never knew about. And they ended up remitting those to the state. Excuse me, I yelled a lot at the LSU football game. They ended up remitting those to the state, and she got her $2 million. So it's worth checking out that list. They do update it throughout the year. They just advertise the list at this time of year. So again, we will be running that list online shortly. It's processing now. I should get it up before I head to Livingston for those trials. Please keep an eye out for that. Again, that's the unclaimed property notices. Early voting for the runoffs begins this Saturday, November 2nd. It's hard to believe it's already here. that will run for a week, November 2nd to November 9th. No voting on November 3rd. It is at the Denham Springs Walker Branch Library, as well as the Registrar of Voters office in Livingston. You can vote from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily at both locations, but you can only vote once. And the parish voters are going to be facing 6 runoffs. Yes, got that correct. You're looking at the governor, which is Mr. Eddie Rispone, versus the incumbent, Governor John Bell Edwards. Mr. Rispone is a Republican. Mr. Bell Edwards, of course, or Governor Bell Edwards, is a Democrat. In Secretary of State's race, it is Kyle Ardwin, who's a Republican, versus Ms. Gwen Collins Greenup, who is a Democrat. In District 71, it is Buddy Mincy Jr., that's House District 71, and Buddy Mincy is a Republican, versus Ms. Lori Calais, who is a Democrat. For District Court Judge, Division D, you have a runoff. This is a 3-parish election runoff because 21st Judicial District is Livingston, St. Lee, and Tangipahoa. You have Mr. Ernie Drake, who is a Republican, versus Mr. Brian Abels, who is also a Republican. In Parish Council District 6, you have Derek Babcock, who is a Republican, versus Gerald McMorris, who is also a Republican. And for Bessie District 6, which is the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, you have Ronnie Morris, who is a Republican, versus Greg Spears from Springfield, who is a Republican. We have a write-up online currently about early voting, as well as all of these folks and what they're all about. You can go check that out. www.livingstonparishnews.com/news. We also have a full story write-up in this Thursday's paper. That would be the 31st, as sort of a primer for this early voting period. Rotolo's in Walker reopened on Saturday, just about 8 days after a car ran through the front door. Thankfully, according to owner Chad Cologne, the damage was mostly cosmetic, so they were able to find a contractor, get it turned around quick, and they are now reopened for business in Walker. Emma Hutchison has committed and signed with Louisiana Tech. If you don't know who she is, she's a softball player out of Holden. Congratulations to Miss Emma on that. Huge accomplishment there. You can read all about her at www.livingstonparishnews.com/sports. The big win we were talking about earlier, Walker, a lot of games were played on Thursday. We talked about those on Friday because of the weather. When Walker played in the weather, they played Central. Central was undefeated, as well as undefeated in district. Walker was not undefeated, but was on an upswing, and that upswing continued. 26-24, Walker takes the win, now sharing a piece of the district title at present with Zachary. Their showdown comes in week 10, so that's going to be very interesting to see if Walker can win out. Zachary carries it all, and you've got 2 district unbeatens duking it out for, I guess you can say, the district title on week 10. I mean, it's the way you want it to come down. So congratulations to Walker on that. A quick recap. Albany lost to Loranger on the road. Tough loss. Springfield demolished Pope John Paul at home. So it seems a lot of those challenges outside of district were coming into play. And then Live Oak dismantled Denham Springs 37-7. So there's a roundup of that. Myself, William Weathers, and Rob DeArmond will be sitting down, as we sit down every Wednesday, roll out a football podcast to talk about how all that's going to play out, or what the coaches were saying about last week, and then pulling it forward into next week. Students at, and I forgot which school this is, I want to say this is Eastside Elementary, experimented with blotto painting, which is, where you do a lot of blots and try to pull it together as a picture. Some very interesting stuff, some very creative kids there. At Northside Elementary in Denham Springs, they ran I guess you can say a snack drive for the police officers in Denham Springs. So it was very much a success, put together a lot of baskets for those guys. Finally, last but certainly not least, on Thursday, October 31st, is the annual Trunk or Treat event at South Park. People from all over the parish have started to get involved in this. They bring down their vehicles, pop their trunks, and put a bunch of candy in there. It's for kids that might be in an unsafe neighborhood, or a bunch of kids who want to trick or treat all at once but only have one chaperone. It's for folks who live in areas where they just don't normally do trick-or-treating. There might not be a whole lot of people there who get involved in it, a whole lot of different reasons. It was initially started by Mr. R.C. Bubba Harris of District 5, and of course South Park is in District 5, but it has grown from there and has grown quite a bit. So that will be this Thursday, October 31st. At present, it is scheduled to rain, so we're trying to check with the hosts, which would be Mr. Bubba Harris and the Parish Council, to see if they're going to try to move it, if they're going to be saying bring an umbrella. We will find that out for you guys and bring it back around, see what we can't figure out for you. So one last time with the traffic and the weather, it's currently 55 degrees. 75 is your high. Again, those showers are expected on Wednesday and Thursday. Heavy showers on Wednesday first, and then some light rain on Thursday. So it may move out by the evening time. But again, we will find out for trunk or treat whether or not that's still rolling. One last time, the traffic, it might be a little past time because I looked at it about 15 minutes ago, but there was heavy delays on I-12 backed up past Pete's Highway, heavy delays at Juban and 190, 64 looking relatively clear going into Central, 190 relatively clear, minor delays at River Road, 4-H Club Road, where they all come together on the western side of Denham Springs. Minor delays at 447 and Arnold Road, and heavy, traffic coming out of Watson as folks were dropping their kids off at school. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us on this Monday morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also find these shows online, www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. They are free. We have audio and video versions. We also have long-form podcasts there as well. Thanks again for joining us. Keep an eye on our social media throughout the day. We are going to be bouncing around, and we will be back with you tomorrow morning, Tuesday, for our regular update. So have a great day.